Hello, my name is Kevin Normando. I am the publisher of Microgrid Knowledge, and I'm here today with Zach Bradford, the CEO and president of CleanSpark. Hello, Zach.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, I have a few questions for you, but first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, who is CleanSpark and who do you guys help?
Absolutely. So CleanSpark, we are a technology focused company in the microgrid space, specifically in software. We have software that both helps developers design and engineer systems, um, run those systems in an optimal manner. And also we have software that allows interconnection with utilities for vendors who want to interconnect and communicate in the wholesale markets.
Nice. Well, today I'd like to ask you a few questions about the residential microgrid market. As we know, the large commercial and industrial customers, as well as like military customers, they're pretty quick to adopt new technologies and specifically microgrids. But how aware do you feel the residential market is of microgrids?
We're actually seeing a lot of growth, very substantial growth, and I think that it has a long way to go still. It's a big focus for us to the point we actually acquired a solar installation group last month, and are really focusing on our consumer-facing products and offerings now, including actually a brand new product launch that we're pushing forward to support microgrids with Envolt. But the reason that we're seeing this is because awareness is increasing day by day. Unfortunately, wildfires in California aren't going away. We look at what happened in Houston, and everybody is now starting to hear the term microgrid and recognize the importance of having some control over your energy, not just if you're a military base, but if you're a homeowner. You want to be able to keep the heat on. You want to be able to keep working. A lot of people are working remote right now, and microgrids are an enabler of that, and that's why we're really excited about the direction it's going, and look forward to be able to bring more opportunities to your average homeowner.
Well, there's no doubt that the concept of microgrids are probably very recent and needy technologies, certainly for folks in California and Texas. But what really needs to be done to expand the overall understanding of microgrids for the residential market?
I think that something that's really important to continue to educate people on is that microgrids can help save people money, on their monthly power bill, whether there is a significant outage event or not. But then it's there when you do have a need for significant resiliency. I think a lot of people still see microgrids and they look at it and they identify, oh, only people that are kind of the prepper groups need microgrids. But more and more, I think with a little bit of education, the people are understanding, hey, there's an ongoing benefit to these microgrids. My current energy bill costs less, and it's because there's storage connected with your solar generation or other generation. So it's not just that you're putting solar panels on the roof. There's so much bad information out there about, well, the utilities have just changed the rates, so I don't benefit from solar. Well, once you add storage, you can. And I also think there's a lot of people that have solar panels on the roofs that are maybe frustrated, and adding storage and a microgrid to those residences can basically bring the value back that they've already invested in.
Hmm. Yeah, we're certainly seeing that in the research that we've done is that the awareness of microgrids is still relatively low. But once the homeowner finds out about a microgrid and what the technology does for them, they're very keen on adopting microgrids. So let's talk about some of the hurdles. Specifically, I'm curious what state or market changes need to happen to help the homeowner with microgrid adoption.
I think I look at some of the states, you look at California, you look at what's happening in the Northwest. I think something that's going to be really important is that the states need to, continue to renew their incentive programs over the next couple of years. Because at the end of the day, cost is what matters. Um, you know, there's a lot of people with means that can put a microgrid in, but microgrid shouldn't just be for people that have means. So these incentives are really important to help bring energy solutions, which are important to everybody, and to kind of equalize that playing field. In addition to that, interconnection rules and things like that, they need to be made with the consumer in mind, especially when the state is making that. It's incredibly important that we have a stable grid, and that's why the utilities need to be involved. But, really, states and regulators need to pay attention to make sure that these programs and also the laws around it, it serves the end consumer. So often, every few years, it seems that the utilities find a way to remove value from homeowners and shift it back to the utility. And I think that that's something that really needs to be paid attention to, on the go forward, is to make sure that they stay facing their constituents for where the value goes.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not just education of the homeowners themselves, but perhaps our policymakers as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we've got a new administration. The Biden administration's got a big green energy agenda. How do you think that's going to affect microgrid adoption for homeowners as well as other large energy customers?
I think you hit it on the head that it can help both. It should help homeowners. It should help large energy, producers and consumers. There's a lot to go, so there's a lot of unknowns about what that green plan will finally end up being. But I do think that it's important that hopefully what we're going to see is that it will address microgrids and all aspects of it, and it won't just focus on one piece of a microgrid, whether that be solar, for example, or whether it is just batteries. But I think it's recognizing we're now in a space where technology's evolved, that there's a full ecosystem involved, and based on what I'm seeing, I'm actually very hopeful that that's what we're going to see from the administration, and I think it'd be really good for the industry as a whole.
Well, speaking of which, is there one or a few things that you'd really like to see the Biden administration do that would help drive the adoption of microgrids?
What I would love to see is really the way that the tax incentives are managed. We have the ITC right now, which supports solar and the other things, and it's the way the credit works. I think it would go really far, especially if it was a refundable credit rather than just a offsetting credit. There are a lot of people that don't have significant tax liabilities in any one year that would still like to put systems in, increase resiliency, increase the use of green energy. And because the credit may take multiple years to benefit them because of their own situation, which is different for a lot of people, it's really hard to make the upfront investment that does need to be made. And I think it comes down to, if the administration wants to see rapid adoption, that's a big thing that needs to happen. Otherwise, you're still going to end up with the same thing of, a consumer or a customer has to pay for that system today. And so if the government's going to help, it would be really nice if that help came in the form of, a check that came back to them and a refundable credit. And it wasn't something that was going to take multiple years to bring back to them. So that's what I would really like to see from the administration in the upcoming years.
Well, that's great. Listen, this has really been an interesting conversation. I appreciate you sharing your insights with the Microgrid Knowledge audience. But sounds like you got a lot going on there at Clean Spark. So we'll continue to do our job to try to help with that education. But thank you so much for your time, Zach.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you. And appreciate again for taking the time for the conversation.